You've seen it 100 times in movies, right? Some high-tech gadget stops a speeding car dead in its tracks. But what if I told you that science fiction is way closer to reality than you probably think? Today, we're going to break down the actual tech that's bringing this sci-fi staple to life.
I mean, that sounds like something straight out of Star Trek, doesn't it? It's basically like telling Scotty to set phasers to overload. But this isn't just a geeky daydream. Nope. This is the very real concept behind a piece of tech designed to do one thing: end dangerous, high-speed chases safely.
So how in the world do you actually build something like that? Well, the real-world blueprint is, believe it or not, pretty straightforward. It all boils down to a two-part system that's part clever physics and part, well, a little bit of brute force. Let's dig into how it works. To stop a car with electricity, you've really got to solve two big problems. First, how do you even get your device onto a moving car? And second, once it's there, how do you actually trigger that electronic overload? The answer is a kind of 1-2 punch. First, you deliver it with magnets, then you hit it with an electromagnetic pulse. Step 1 is all about making it stick. And we're talking about projectiles. Think something like a harpoon or a dart that are tipped with incredibly powerful neodymium magnets. The whole idea is to fire this thing from a launcher, have it slam onto the car's metal body, and just cling on for dear life, even if that car is doing well over 100 miles per hour. Okay, so the device is attached. It's hanging on. Now for the fun part. Part 2, delivering that electronic payload. And this is where the science gets really, really cool, because it pulls from technology that's actually been around for decades. The heart of this thing is a device with a bit of a mouthful of a name: an explosively pumped flux compression generator. Let's just call it an EPFCG for short. Now, it sounds super complicated, but the core idea has been around since the 1950s. It's basically a clever way to create a huge electromagnetic burst from a really tiny package. So how does it work? It's a super fast 3-step process. First, a capacitor inside creates a little magnetic field. Then, and here's the key part, a small controlled explosive charge goes off. Bam! It instantly squeezes or compresses that magnetic field. Squeezing it amplifies the energy like crazy, and it all gets released at once as a massive electromagnetic pulse. The device is single use, of course. It literally tears itself apart to create that pulse. All right, so we have our magnetic delivery system and our mini EMP generator. What actually happens to the car when that pulse goes off? Well, the effect is almost surgical. It's targeting the car's electronic nervous system. Now, this is not a Hollywood fireball. The EMP doesn't blow the car up. Instead, what it does is it creates these huge voltage spikes in the car's wiring. This completely overloads and basically fries all the sensitive electronics. We're talking the car's computer, the ignition system, all the little sensors, everything a modern car needs to run. The engine just dies. But here's the crucial catch. This tech doesn't work on just anything. A modern computerized car? That's the perfect target. But, an old school all-mechanical beast from the 70s? It might not even notice what happened. Diesel engines are also kind of a wild card since they don't rely on spark plugs. The simple rule is, the more electronics a car has, the more vulnerable it is. So you might be thinking this is all just theoretical, right? Just ideas on a whiteboard. But actually, this technology has been popping up for years in patents, in military prototypes, and yeah, of course, in pop culture. Let's take a look at where we can see these ideas in action. If you're a fan of the Fast and the Furious movies, you've definitely seen this. Remember the ESD harpoon? It's the perfect Hollywood version, a grappling hook that latches on and instantly fries a car's electronics with a big, dramatic light show. It totally gets the core idea right, even if it cranks the drama up to 11. But reality is just as fascinating. There are actual US patents for these things. One of them describes an EMP generator built specifically to take out cars. Another details an electrical disabling projectile that's designed to be fired from a police car, stick to the target, and deliver the pulse. So the concept is definitely grounded in real-world research. And this brings up a really key difference: scale. While the small fire-and-forget projectile we've been talking about is still mostly conceptual, living in these patents, much, much larger versions of this same technology already exist and have been tested. For example, the US Air Force has something called the CHAMP missile. It's a cruise missile that uses powerful microwaves to shut down the electronics in entire buildings without actually blowing them up. And on a smaller scale, there's a system called RF Safe Stop, which can be mounted on a truck and can stall a car's engine from 50 meters away. The principle is very real, and it absolutely works.
So, this all leads to the obvious question, right? If the technology exists in different forms and the patents have been filed, why isn't every police car in the country equipped with one of these things?
Exactly. It seems like the perfect non-lethal tool for ending dangerous car chases. But, like with so many things, the journey from a cool lab prototype to a standard-issue tool for police on the street is, well, it's full of some massive, massive hurdles.
The reality is, there are some huge roadblocks. For one, range. The EMP effect drops off really fast, so you have to get super close. You also need a ton of power. And then there's the gigantic risk of collateral damage. I mean, what if you accidentally shut down a nearby ambulance, or even worse, someone's pacemaker? And on top of all of that, car manufacturers are getting better and better at shielding their electronics.
And that pretty much sums up where we are right now. For today, the handheld fire-and-forget car stopper is still stuck in the world of patents, classified military tests, and, of course, our favorite action movies. The gap between what's possible in a lab and what's practical on the street is still pretty wide. But this all points to a really fascinating question about the future, doesn't it? As literally everything in our world becomes more and more reliant on electronics, are we going to see a major shift towards weapons that target the system, not the person? It really makes you wonder if this is a glimpse into the future of control, law enforcement, and maybe even warfare itself.